Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Friday night in the shop. How you guys doing? Just wanted to jump in and hang out with you guys for a little bit. So many things going on, and yeah, just been super busy, getting lots of stuff done around the shop. And I'm gonna report on that skid steer heater when we get over there. Right now, I'm just I want to report on something I've actually been working on. I did a little bit of filming on it, but I'll chat with you guys, and then we can go and hang out in the shop. I've had my slip tank out of my truck for a while. I was having troubles with it. You guys remember, those of you guys that hang out here, I bought this at the auction. I think I'm into this whole rig for about $200. That's real cheap for a slip tank. And I've used it quite a bit. I was having problems with the pump. And the pump after I ran it for a while was pumping almost nothing. And it was just dribbling out of there. And so I ended up pulling it out. Turns out the bottom was full of ice. This thing was loaded with water. Anyways, got it back in here and it's working perfectly. It got all kinds of pressure. So really happy with that. I bought something else at auction, just making sure I got my straps and everything else I need. I'm going to go pick it up. I'll probably film it, but I bought something I've needed for about 10 years. And I'm actually super excited. As I get older, this is something I'm going to need. But anyhow, I'm going to head over to the saw shop. And I want to go over some emails that have been sent recently. Haven't been doing a ton of saw work as of late, just for a lack of time. But I'm always here for you guys, and I love answering your questions. So let's go to the saw shop, and I'll probably put a little blurb about this tank in there in between. Slip tank's mounted back in the truck. The reason why I had it in the shop is I've been draining it and rinsing it and draining it and rinsing it to get all the ice and snow. There was a big layer in the bottom of ice. And also the tube, the suction tube, I thought my pump was going bad. My suction tube was actually touching the bottom, and so I had no pressure. So what I ended up doing is I cut the tube down about 1/4 inch, 3/8 of an inch, so that it can't suck the stuff on the bottom. I don't want to put any of that stuff through any of my machinery, my mower, my skid steer, because clogged injectors and changing fuel filters and all that, that's just a lot of unnecessary work for no reason. So anyhow, I looked inside, it looks pretty clean. And I don't see any ice in there now. So we're back at the saw shop. I'll give you guys an update on the cab heater for this thing. A lot of you guys were super interested in the cab heater, and maybe not for your skid steer, but I mean, it's good for, if you got an old skid steer, that's probably the most economical way to heat the cab. Maybe you got a UTV or, you know, side by side, whatever you want to call it, a golf cart, whatever. You're around the yard machine and you want to put heat in it. Pretty economical way. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Another thing I wanted to touch on today, the 026 giveaway saw. A few of you guys have asked. I have not given it away yet, and the simple reason is I want to make sure this saw is good. We did have some problems with it. I don't want to send one of you guys a headache. I want to send you something that you can run, enjoy, and just have fun with. And whatever, if you want to pull it apart and look at my work, have at her. It's free to whoever I give it to. Remember, I will give it away on the channel, and it'll be 100% free. I won't charge you guys a dime. I'll ship it to you. And you can be anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter to me. But anyways, friends, I haven't run this thing much because, well, it's winter, and it's been the kind of winter. It's been really cold, windy, lots of snow, so it's kind of hard to get to the timber here. But I've been kind of running through my firewood, and I'm probably going to have to block up some more wood, and I'll do it with this. But anyhow, you guys were asking, I still have it. I did start this thing about a couple days ago. It likes to choke, so I usually leave this thing on choke, and it'll fire and run on choke. mean, it seems to be a good saw. Anyways, it oils really good. I did notice I fired it up on the weekend, 4 or 5 days ago, and I noticed that saw there, whoever gets it, and I'll send you, we can exchange particulars, whoever gets it. It likes full choke, so you pull it over. If it's been sitting a while, 4 or 5 pulls, it'll fire on full choke. And what I've been doing is I leave it on choke, let it get going, turn the choke off, and then it's good. So I think it's good. I'm almost comfortable with just sending it. But like I said, one of you guys out there will receive that saw. I'll send it to you and enjoy and play with it and look at it. And it's a nice little firewood saw. Anyhow, friends, I'm going to talk about the cab heater, and I want to go through some of your emails and answer some of your questions. I like helping you guys out, and let's do that. It's Friday night in the shop. Okay, guys, I'm just going to climb into the old skid steer here. I'm not the safety police. You guys know me. I do what I do. If you're ever climbing into one of these machines, many points of contact. I've heard of and seen more guys fall out of equipment and hurt themselves. I've seen it. Just be careful. I know it sounds silly, but a lot of fellers have broken legs and feet and ankles climbing in and out. I'm always super careful. And let's do an update on this heater. I'm going to turn it on because, well, it's a little chilly out. And the nice thing about this heater is I don't need heat running, or I don't need the unit running to run this heater. I can just turn the key on and fire up. I pushed snow with this thing the other night, and let me tell you, it was warm in here. And it was nice. It is the hottest it's ever been in this cab. Windows are completely dry, bare. I used to have a scraper in there, friends, and in the middle of a snowstorm, I'm in the cab for hours, just freezing, and I'm scraping the windshield. Not with this thing. This thing's absolutely the perfect machine. I can't say anything bad about this heater. Like I said, $150. You can put a heater in anything. And again, if you don't want to run a tank like I did, tap it into your fuel system, put a T in there, and maybe a little shut-off valve, and you can have heat. As long as you can mount it and wire it. And these things will run off 12 volt or 110, like you can plug it in. But so really, sky's the limit. Okay. Let's have a look at some of your guys' questions. I get emails every week. I try and answer as many as I can, and I love helping you guys out. You guys help me out. Like the fella that came to Ohio, I'm sorry I forget your name, but you know who you are out there. He gave me this hat, and I wear it quite a bit. It's my going uptown hat. Nothing looks better than a 266 hat and a 7.3 Power Stroke. Yeah, that's right. Okay, first one is from Pete Saws. I don't know if Pete has a saw shop or maybe a YouTube channel, but this is from Pete Saws. He was wondering where I got all those killer dogs back in the day for my 266s, my home lights. I think we even made a set for McCullough. If they're available. Unfortunately, Pete, those aren't available. My good buddy, Fab Willie, was making those. And I don't think he's doing them anymore. He was selling them for a while, but I think he's moved on to other things. But which is too bad because he was good at them, and I really enjoyed the designs. But unfortunately, Pete, not available anymore. Okay, what do we got here? I got lots of emails from the auction, friends. We're going to the auction tomorrow to pick up what I bought. I'm pretty excited. I know I'm silly. I buy a lot of stuff from the auction. Okay, this one's from Matt Hansler. Again, I get emails about life, being a father, trucks. You guys know I jump around on this channel. I just film whatever I'm doing. This one's from Matt Hansler. And, hey dude, I was watching your video on your skid steer heating issue. An old trick we do in the bush in the winter is to flip your fan blade around so instead of blowing out, it blows the heat in. The Deutz motors are dandy. I've got one on my skid steer, but mine is air cooled with individual cylinders and heads like a fan cooled sled. Said it's an F16913. Check it out, or FL6913. Hope you can get your fan flipped and the unit doesn't get heat rocking. If you can't get that to work, Princess Auto sells a great auxiliary unit. Well, Pete, the issue with mine is that this motor runs at full temp in the winter. It's like 190, 195, 200 degrees, as long as I keep the RPM up. But the biggest issue is the heater that was in here. The rad doesn't make enough heat. There's not enough BTU for the air flowing through it. So I was moving a lot of air, but I was cooling off the rad in there. So, and the thing that scares me about the Princess Auto heaters is they're made for coolant, and coolant's pretty thin. So if you take one of those and look at the pressure rating on them, and I might be looking into it too far, oil pressure is pretty high when you first fire up a unit in the cold. And what scares me is if I blow a line, I could leak all my oil out and not know about it until I cook my motor. And actually, that's how I got this skid steer. The fellow that owned it blew the motor up. He put a brand new Deutz crate motor in this. The motor in this skid steer is way newer than the skid steer. I put 500-600 hours on it. It probably has 700 hours on it. It was a brand new motor. So anyhow, Matt, thanks for the tips. And that's actually a good idea, is flipping it around. Pretty good idea, actually. There's a lot of smart fellas on this channel. Moving on, Blake Stevens wanted to know if I could port a Echo CS590. No, sorry, Blake. I don't take any work. I never have. I'm probably the only guy on the internet that doesn't take work, but just never felt like I could fit it in or give it my all. And so I've just never taken work, number one. Number two, that 590 I didn't run very good, so I wouldn't hire me to port a 590, that's for darn sure. On another note, that 590 might be making an appearance on the channel again. Stay tuned, friends. I got parts coming for it. I want to take another kick at the cat. My buddy hooked me up. And, well, we'll leave it at that. But that 590 might make a return. It bothers me that saw never ran right. Okay. This is a long email. I'll kind of search through it. Patrick wanted to know about getting more power out of a 372. Out of a 372 X torque. I'll kind of jump around. He's been watching others mill logs. He's assuming that this saw will need to run high RPM for extended periods for a long time in long cuts. A smaller yet lightweight, high-powered saw is the desired effect for milling, like a 394 performance out of a 372 frame. So, before I answer his questions, Patrick, I've gone over this for years with people. You want a 394 for milling. A bigger saw cools better. It's made for longer cuts. It won't overheat. It's got more torque. The oil they flow is like double what a small saw will flow. So, no, you do. You want a big saw for milling. Lower RPM, lower heat, more torque. That's the deal for milling. Can you mill with a 372? For sure you can. Now, Patrick asked me a bunch of questions about how to get more power out of his 372. First question was, would porting be better than a 52 millimeter big bore kit? Please explain. For milling, I would say go with the stock 52 millimeter big bore with a pop-up, do a gasket delete, and a really open muffler to keep the heat out. If you wanted a good falling or bucking saw, I would port a 50 millimeter over a stock 52 millimeter. Patrick, a well-ported saw will run circles around any big bore or any stock saw. It's once you run a ported saw, it's hard to go back. Next question, will the 52 millimeter cylinder fit on an X-Torque? Yes, it will. You need a different intake. you need the intake that matches the old style 52 millimeter top end. But 100%, it will fit. You can put your X-Torque carb on there. It'll all bolt together. There's a little bit of trimming you got to do, but once you mock it up, you'll see it fits. Using a combination of timing, porting, and a larger bore, how much horsepower is possible? Sky's the limit. 10 horsepower plus. But again, I wouldn't strap a 10 horsepower 372 that's ported to a mill. It'll get too hot and you'll probably cook it. Most of the big saws I own 10 or 12 100cc-ish saws. Almost all of them were killed on a mill because they got too hot. So milling's really hard on saws. And I honestly, Patrick, I wouldn't port a saw for milling. I don't think it's a good idea. You can, and maybe it'll work, but 99% of the time, a ported saw is going to run hotter, higher chain speed. Now remember, with a higher chain speed is more heat in the chain, and when you're milling, you tend to have a hot chain as it is. The hotter the chain gets, the more heat to your clutch, more heat to your crankshaft, more heat to your bearings, more heat to the bottom end. And if the bottom end gets really hot, it'll lean out your air-fuel mixture and you will pop the saw, generally. But anyhow, don't let that deter you. Porting saws is addictive and I can highly recommend it. Next one, Gordon Hodnett. Gordon sent me an email about, he has a 272 that's been sitting for years. He put a new coil on it. And now suddenly he said it's super hard to pull over. He has to put it on the ground and it's super hard to pull over. And he's wondering what the problem could be. First place I would look is that new coil a good coil? Sometimes aftermarket coils, they don't fire at the right time. The timing can be off. If your timing is off on your saw, it can be extremely hard to pull over and it can kick back. If it sparks too soon, sometimes it'll want to kick back and it'll pull the recoil out of your hand. I have a couple of saws that I ported that have a little bit of an ignition timing mod, and if you don't pull those over right, you'll know it because it'll absolutely yank that coil or that recoil out of your hand. Now, Gordon, if you don't think it's that, try and put the old coil on and pull it over like that. Is it the same? If it is the same, I would say you might have a buildup of carbon on the top of your cylinder and your piston. As the carbon gets built up, especially if your coil was dying and you didn't get a clean burn, you can coat the top of that piston with carbon, which makes the combustion chamber smaller, which will jack up your compression and make them hard to start. I've encountered that numerous times on 200 series saws, so I'd be looking there also. Pull the spark plug out, shine a light in there, and see what you could see. If you can't see very well or you're having a hard time, pop the top end off. It's easy on those, and have a look. Hopefully that helps. Okay, I'm going to do one more here. Two more. Byron Foster sent me an email, and he was curious. He said, obviously I port saws and I have a lathe. I can adjust the timing where I want it on any cylinder, and that's my world. His world is he doesn't have that capability. He wants to know, do Meteor and Highway have acceptable port timing right out of the box? Meteor in a 372, he's got a 365 special, which is just a small 372. Byron, 100%, I would go 52 millimeter Highway big bore. Order from my buddy Ryan at Wolf Creek. He'll treat you good. Put that on. Those have great port timing, very close to what I would do ported. They got nice big transfers and they run really well. So I would definitely go with that. You can go flat top or a pop-up. I just did a video on those two a couple videos ago. Check that out. But yeah, 100% I would go Highway. Nothing wrong with Meteor, but I like the transfers in the Highway better. They're bigger. Okay, one more. Joseph, he's been going back and forth with me. He's working on 272. First question was, how do I pop seals out, crank seals? Well, Joseph, a lot of times I'll run a small screw into there, take a pair of pliers and pop it out. 99% of the time, that's the easiest way to do it. Just make sure when you drive the screw in, you're not too far to the edge. You don't want to scratch the case. If you do, you'll have to put some sealant in there, or some assembly silicone, but you want to stay away from that. Drive a small screw in there, a sheet metal screw, get it to bite, grab your pliers and pop it out. And the other thing is, do I always replace cylinders and pistons when I'm rebuilding a saw, or sometimes do I just do pistons? Yeah, if the cylinder's good, I'll scuff it up a little bit and I'll run a brand new piston and ring. On a saw, I can't get a piston. Sometimes I just put a ring in it. It depends on the saw and what I'm doing. Most times you see me replacing pistons on this channel because I have access to them. They're on the shelf, and it's just easy for me to put a new piston in the saw, so that's how I do it. But yeah, if there's nothing wrong with the cylinder, reuse it. There's nothing wrong with that. I have a lot of saws that I own that I've been running for years and years and years that I put a piston and ring in, and they're fine. Anyhow, friends, isn't that nice to have heat in your rig without it running? I know, eh? Pretty cool. Anyhow, friends, thanks for coming to hang out. Stay tuned. We're going to the auction tomorrow to pick something up. And I think I have all the parts I need, and I'm ready. We'll start assembling the partner P42, sorry, friends. P42 partner that we ported, and we'll start assembling that. And stay tuned. I got a couple more saws coming. It sounds like I got an MS660 coming. I've never, ever ported one of those. And I bought another vintage saw that I've always wanted, and I got one coming in the mail. It should be here in another week or so, but stay tuned, friends. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Take her easy, and just thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you guys in a couple days. Later.